Welcome guys to this presentation from week 8. This JavaScript input format validation by server Felix S. Guzman. We're gonna talk about the HTML for validation, the meaning, and show you some examples. The JavaScript input validation examples, the automatic HTML for validation examples, the data validation meaning, the HTML contract validation meaning examples includes the contract validation, HTML input attributes, and constraint validation, the ESS with pseudo selectors. So the HTML for validation. So the meaning of the HTML for validation is a process of examining the HTML form page contents to avoid error out the data being sent to the server. This process is a significant step in developing HTML-based web application. It can easily improve the quality of the web page or the web application. So many sites that are really different. And as we can see, the first example showing here HTML for validation with HTML script with the function to validate for let x equal to document that forms with the main for name with value if x equal with alert the name must be filled out and turned false. Script the JavaScript validation in here. That will be the part of the form. This name equal my form action page that PHP I'll submit return with the validate for method post. And the name input type text, the name f name, and input type submit. Please submit. So you can see in here with the JavaScript validation name and to put it the name and submit it from there. And also with the JavaScript input validation example that can include numbers as we can see here, like from 1 to 10. If the number is more or than that number, that will be able to work because it's between 1 and 10, but if it's more than that, that will be showing that will not be working, showing that the input is not valid. But if it's ground then will be okay. With the automatic HTML for validation example, is showing here the HTML for validation can be performed automatically by the browser. If a form field showing here the f name is empty, they require us to prevent this form from being submitted. Showing here that for action will be called /action page.php. The method will post the input type text and then name require. This is showing here as an attribute. Is submitted. The input type submit, the value submit the form. You can see here is the example from before. Then It's showing here that if you click submit without filling out text, your browser will display that error message. Click here and if it's showing some mess or some error, we'll be able to tell you what is happening. And to try again. The data validation. So the data validation is a process of ensuring that the user input is clean, correct, and useful. And the typical validation checks are: has the user filled in all required fields? Has the user entered a valid date? Has the user entered the text in a numeric field? So most often the purpose of the data validation is to ensure the correct user input. And the validation can be defined by many different methods and deployed in many different ways. So the server-side validation is performed by a web server after input has been sent to the server, and with the client-side validation is performed by a web browser before input is sent to a web server. So you can see here the HTML construct validation. So here the HTML file introduce a new HTML validation concept called the construct validation. That consists that is based on construct validation, HTML input attributes, construct validation, ESS selectors, and construct validation beyond properties and methods. So in here, with the construct validation HTML input attributes, the first attribute is disabled that specifies that the input element should be disabled. With the max, will specifies the maximum value of an input element. With the min, specifies the minimum value of an input element. With the pattern, specifies the value pattern of an input element. With require, specifies that the input field requires an element. With type, specifies the type of an input element. With the construct validation, CSS selectors, showing the many selectors from the CSS. First, the disable that selects input elements with the disabled attribute specified. With invalid, select the input elements with invalid values. With the optional, selects the input elements with no required attribute specified. With the require, select input elements with the required attribute specified. And that valid, that selects input elements with valid values. Thanks for your patience, and I hope so that you will be able to understand and comprehend everything that I explained about the JavaScript input format validation. Have a wonderful day.